What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown Podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Ben Riccardi from Ironclad Restoration Marketing, and I'm the author of the No BS Guide to Internet Marketing for Restoration Contractors. Now, the Restoration Rundown is your source for everything related to managing and owning your restoration business, from bringing on special guests and sharing success stories to taking deep dives with our team here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing into all of the online channels that you need to be tapping into to get visibility for your restoration business and get more leads from the internet. We've got you covered. So buckle up and get ready for the rundown. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'll jump right in after that intro, because this is the Restoration Rundown Podcast. I want to thank you for joining us today as you're listening to this, because we've got a really exciting episode for you that we're going to be bringing to the table. One of the things that I really love about doing this podcast is the value that we're able to bring to the industry, whether that's marketing value, learning how to do different things when it comes to digital marketing, or that's bringing on guests that are entrepreneurs or seasoned restorers that can help you with anything that's related to your business. But today, we've got a really special episode 2 of the new season, where we're bringing on one of the most intelligent marketers out there. And fortunately for me, he happens to work for us at Ironclad Restoration Marketing. So if you are a current client, then you know the name. If you are a past client, then you know the name. If you're somebody that's just engaged with us just to get help, that's one of the things we do. We engage with a lot of people online, whether it's a social channel or just on a phone call. This guy has been there since day one with Ironclad Restoration Marketing. We wouldn't be what we are without him. And the cool thing about today's episode is we're going to walk you guys through something that I think a lot of restorers out there struggle with, and that's just trying to figure out and quantify if their marketing dollars are actually going anywhere, if they're even visible online in the grand scheme of things. And if you're not, and you really know that you suck at marketing, today's episode is really going to illuminate what you need to be doing or what you're currently doing that's putting you in the position that you're in, whether it's a good one or a bad one. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the show, for the second kind of time ever, but the first time solo, John JC Carriasso. John, JC, as I call him, and everybody out there probably knows him. What's happening, man? Thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, finally. It's been a while. Even though I was on the podcast with Yaz on LSA a few months ago, but she was pretty much the main focus for that. So this one's just about you and I. And looking forward. This is we're definitely going to do this on a more regular basis. And real briefly, as far as my role over at Ironclad, it's coming on. I think it's coming on 10 years next year, right?
Next year in May or June will be 10 years of Ironclad Restoration Marketing.
Damn.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know where those 10 years.
The only reason I know it's 10 years is because my son is turning 10 in a couple months. And I remember bouncing him on a table while I was getting all this stuff together, teaching myself web development and engaging with you for the first time through some mutual friends to hook up with this guy that I had no idea who he was, but I heard really great things about you. So I know you want to get in your background. Give me a little brief history of where you come from, and then more so like kind of how you fit in with our company here. We probably don't have like 5 hours to talk about all of the things you do here, because you do wear a lot of hats, but just give us the 30,000 foot view of what you do here at Ironclad for those of the people out there that don't know who you are.
Sure. So, initially we met through a mutual friend, and, we just started, real simple. I knew SEO, you were doing the BNI thing, and, we just start one account at a time. Yeah. But prior to that, so I worked for a few different agencies over the years, and I've been working in digital marketing for over 21 years. And, I knew eventually wanted to, go out, either partner with somebody or go on my own. But, because, working for an agency, it's, I learned a lot, but, it was time to move on. So, over the years, we've gone through a lot, but essentially, we've grown quite a bit, and my role is, it's kind of, I would say progressed over time,
for sure,
based on the growth. So, for now, I'm primarily overlooking sales, business development, but also on the operations side, I overlook our team between, Jay, our web developer, Yaz, our account manager, Nikki, our project manager, Gerardo, our pay-per-click manager, Gladys, our SEO manager, and no, Gladys, I'm sorry, social media, and she does our internal marketing, and more importantly, Ariane, she takes care of SEO. So yeah, just making sure, we're at the end of the day, it's all about providing the best possible results for our clients, and also staying on top of all the changes
Yeah.
that go on within digital marketing, going to conferences, and making sure that or watching podcasts that whatever the shiny new thing is, just kind of filter out whatever's the BS and just really focus on what's going to help our clients and get Ironclad just keep moving forward.
And you forgot the hardest job you have is reining me in, because I fly off the handle in really good ways and get these crazy ideas, and I'm balls to the wall, head first, running through the walls like the Kool-Aid man. And why we work together so well is that you're able to rein me in, not only because of your past experience, but our personality types match up really well. So it's been a pleasure having you here for these almost 10 years. Gosh, we're going to have an anniversary show podcast. We just got to figure out what we can do to teach people stuff. Maybe it's getting along and running a digital marketing agency, and why we made this agency a little bit different than all the other ones you've worked with. But I can't thank you enough for all the work you do, guys. He's definitely sold himself short when he named off these key players that he's managing. There's team members under them. There's a lot of moving parts, and you all know that out there. In most cases, you're an entrepreneur. If you're listening to this, or you work for somebody, or maybe you're a stalker of mine. I don't know, but that there's a lot of moving parts. And if it wasn't for JC, these parts would not be moving maybe not at all. So thank you, JC. You've sold yourself short. But yeah, JC has a lot on his plate, managing the SEO team, our Google business team, pay-per-click team. JC's kind of, been there. You've been there since the genesis, where you and I were the team. Now we're fortunate enough to have some really great people on that we're hoping to bring on the podcast more and more. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you sharing your background a little bit. But when we were talking about putting this episode together, of the million things that we could talk about, one of the biggest things that we want to do here at Ironclad Restoration Marketing is making sure we're providing value for our clients, right? And more so providing value for the industry, because listen, the people that out there that listen to this podcast, or the people that I meet out there, 99% of them aren't clients of ours, right? We're just teaching you things. The book that I wrote here, the No BS Guide to Internet Marketing, is all a playbook on how to win online. So I'm a firm believer, JC's right there with me, is give the information away. It's not rocket science. It does take a lot of work. And at the end of the day, we have an agency that can do that kind of stuff for you. But the biggest thing that both of us, I think, agree on is all of the misinformation out there, all of the ambiguity out there when it comes to digital marketing for these guys, especially in the restoration world, being a home services. Listen, they're contractors. That there's probably not a whole lot of them out there that graduated or have had any digital marketing experience outside of the guys that are DIY sort of like do. So I'm real excited about today's episode, JC, because this is something that comes up quite a bit. We are going to walk people through kind of some top players when it comes to online visibility, and then show you what they're doing right. And then we're going to talk about the people that suck at it, the people that aren't doing it right. And I know you've put together some things here. We're actually going to be doing a live video analysis of somebody that's ranking number one, correct? And then somebody that's not ranking in the top first page or top 10 rankings on Google, which you might as well not exist if you're not there. So if you are just listening to this on a stream, I implore you, check out the video on YouTube once it goes live. Check it out on LinkedIn, and you can actually watch visually what's going on here. But I think that this is going to really help a lot of you out there that just don't know where you stand when it comes to your online visibility. And let's be frank, it's very expensive to do and work with an agency like ours, or even having an in-house team. It's really expensive. And one thing that sucks for business owners is not knowing whether or not you're even doing well. And if you are doing well or you're not doing well, not knowing why. So JC, I'm going to hand it over to you. Talk a little bit about what we do, because we do these for people, right? We're a little different than a lot of marketing companies do these little weird videos they'll send out. Ours are much more intensive. Ours are giving you a no holds barred, as we used to talk about, view of where you're at currently, and what you need to do to improve when it comes to your online visibility.
Sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with yours, and I'm going to walk you through a search. Give me a second here. And
Make sure you got the right screen up there that I'm sharing. We've got kids that watch this, JC.
Oh, I can't guarantee that.
Let me know when you're ready and I'll add it to the stage.
All right. Let me know if you can see my screen now. You should see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add it now. Is that the one we're looking for here? Water Damage Restoration Atlanta. So you've keyed in on Google. And I just want to take a second real quick. We're gonna do all of this work on Google. I'm assuming a lot of people, there's a ton of other search engines out there, but just in general terms, the reason that we spend a lot of time talking about Google and SEO is Google owns the lion's share of search. 98% of search flows through Google. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, also owned by Google. So we're the rule of thumb that we use here when we're talking to clients that are like, well, what about DuckDuckGo and Bing and all these other search engines is we got to get right with Google first. That's where the majority of your search is going to be coming from. And then we start off, you can optimize for these other channels, but it's such a low volume that, we want to make sure we're doing the right one first. Right. So we will be on Google. If you guys can see his screen here, great. If not, definitely check this out. If you're just listening to this in the car, JC, all right, take it from here.
Cool. So I did a Google search for water damage restoration Atlanta, and the first section over here, these are Google guaranteed or local service ads, which we did a recent podcast on. And below that, this is also Google ads, but specifically the search text ads, meaning they bid on keywords like water damage restoration. Then over here, you have the Google Maps section. These are the top 3 Google business profiles. But for today, what I really want to focus on is the organic results. All right. And specifically, so on page 1, we are going to take a close look at reliable restoration over here. So I have it already loaded up on
these guys are the #1 organic result when we typed in water damage restoration Atlanta. So this is a really valuable position on a search engine. JC just broke down the 3 areas that we talk about. You have your paid ads, or whether it's LSA or Google, regular Google ads. Then you have your map section, which is a huge one for you as well, but that's tied directly to your Google business profile. And then right below that is the organic section. This is the non-paid section that is a direct result of SEO work. So whoever this is, Reliable Restoration, kudos to you. You are #1 in Atlanta in the organic section.
Yeah. So the first thing I did check is to see, how fast their website loaded. And it loaded pretty quick, but I'm going to do a quick refresh and see how quickly it loaded up. And it loaded up no problem at all. So that's a good thing. And I know you touched on, how site upload times, and that has a big effect on your rankings, because not only rankings, but user experience. If you go to a website, I was looking at something related to baseball, and it loaded so slow. I was just like, like if sites don't load fast now, then you're going to be missing out, and that's going to not only negatively affect the customer experience, but more importantly, it's going to affect your organic rankings in terms of how it's tied into Google Analytics. All right. So getting into reliable restoration, again, the site loads great. First impressions, for the most part, looks good. Specifically, I'll break that down as far as what good means. They have their logo in the top. They have their main menu right above here, and they have their phone number with a click-to-call capability, which I can see with the way it's coded. And I can't stress, and Ben, you've talked about this quite a bit in previous videos that you've made, where especially you got to keep in mind the buyer's journey. The first thing they're going to do is a search for that service they're looking for, in their city, and they're going to look on their phone, and you have to have their phone number, your company, with the click to call capability, meaning they just click from their phone. All right. If you don't have that, this is the main reason you have a local service-based, company, is it's not about, trying to buy something. It's like you want them, if their toilet blew up and they need someone to come over to your house immediately, you want to make it super easy for them to give you a call. All right. So I can't stress how important it is to have a click to call phone number on when you look at the mobile version of your website. But more importantly, it has to be, as far as placement, above the fold, meaning all the content where you see on the page where they don't have to scroll. All right. So you want to make it super easy. Again, this is for user experience. But getting down to the rest of their homepage, you can see they have their contact form right over here, which is great. They have a clear description of their services, right? And they have all their Yelp and Facebook.
By the way, JC, I want to jump in real quick. You something you touched on. I want to just back up real quick. I know, and this is when we talk about page speed, guys, and user experience, it's super important. One, it's a ranking factor, but two, if we want to talk about conversions, you can send as much traffic as you want to a website, be number one all day long, and this website could be number one. And if they go to the site and there's things like the number's not clickable and it takes a long time to load, you're going to lose that person. So I'm going to share a link on the bottom of this stream here. You can take a look at it. It's pagespeed.web.dev. It's actually a tool from Google. You can put your website address in it and it will give you a grade from A to F. Or actually, it's a numbered grade, but I think it's green to red. Whatever, it's bad. A is good, F's bad. The higher the number, the better it is. But they actually give you a plan of action on how to repair it. A lot of times it's server caching policies. Maybe your hosting company sucks. So those are all very super important things when it comes to the pantheon of ranking well on Google. And if you do want to see your mobile version of your website and you have a Windows computer and you want to do it on a desktop, you just hit the F12 button when you're on your homepage and it'll actually show you, and you can toggle between your mobile, desktop, what it looks like on an iPad, because as JC mentioned, clickable phone number, the above the fold conversion elements are super important. Somebody that has an emergency need needs to go to your website and be able to find what they need to find without scrolling, right? So the mobile version of your website is going to be condensed, but you want to make sure that you have those elements in place, or you're going to lose a lot of traffic. You're going to lose a lot of people are going to be bouncing off and going to your competitor. So yeah. JC, sorry about that, but I want to throw it in there. The link's going to stay up for a little bit.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So the other thing I do also look at is what we call readability. Meaning you don't want to have just a bunch of text that looks like you're, back in school and looking at, one of your books for college. So what that means is, different sections, they have all their social media and all the different services they have with different sections over here. They have big titles, bullet points, because keep in mind, people when they look at websites, they're not reading every single thing. We live in a world, whether it's social media or email, people are scrolling and looking for key parts that they're that retains what they're looking for. They have some good content related to their services, some information, and actually this is great. It's not only do they have testimonials, but they have video testimonials. All right, that's super important, and we're a big proponent of that. Right, because sometimes we'll see a bunch of reviews that's just a bunch of content and then the person's name, and it's like it's not even linking to their Google business profile. It's like, all right, anybody could have wrote that. So transparency is super important in 2024 and beyond. All right, and then one good thing I see over here is their address. All right, how this pertains to, and we've Ben, you talked about before, how it relates to NAP, all right, which is an acronym for name, address, phone number. All right, and that is one of the key elements as far as SEO that Google looks for specifically to see exactly where your business is located. A big mistake I'll see a lot of times is companies will just have their address on their contact page. All right, it has to be ideally in the footer, which is in the bottom section on every single page. And this has to be the same with what's on, and we'll talk about, their Google business in a moment, but it's consistent what's on their Google business profile. And also citations. Citations are example like directories, like it could be, Yelp, Apple Maps, Waze, and City Search, Yellow Pages, and so on. All right. So for the most part, again, whoever designed their website did a good job. So definitely kudos to them. And again, this is just as far as aesthetics. Now let's dig a little bit deeper as far as the content of their site. We'll look at their service pages. Let's look at water damage over here. You have Atlanta water damage, the background of downtown Atlanta. And you can see over here, they have, so a lot of information related to. So the one thing, one comment, even though this is a water damage restoration page, but it's focusing on specifically Atlanta. We do things a little bit different, but that's It's fine because they're obviously on page one. But they have a lot of good content as far as titles, short paragraphs, images, and let's scroll a little bit down. Yeah, so everything looks good as far as this specific service page. And then let's move on next to blog, which you can see over here. So the first thing I looked at and I paid attention to is when this blog post was posted, which was November 8th, about 2 weeks ago. And the one previous to that was back in October, 2 in October and September. So the good thing I like what I'm seeing over here is they have good consistency in terms of, looks like they're blogging at least once, twice a month, which is what we do for our clients. And the benefit of blogging on a regular basis is it helps increase what's called your domain authority in the eyes of Google, because everybody wants to get to the first page of Google, right? Especially for their main keywords. So, but if you look at, the big authority sites like Wikipedia, I mean, obviously it's crowdsourced. There's thousands and thousands of people, contributing content. So, but that's the main reason, why they dominate so much of, searches, primarily, when people are asking questions. All right. But as far as getting to the nuts and bolts of their blog posts over here, they have some content. My only suggestion is they would, add more photos, at least 2, and see the rest here. Yeah, that's the only thing I would suggest as far as their blog. But they're doing pretty good as far as that goes. Next, let's take a look at their city pages. We're in their city service area page over here, but let's take a look at one of the one for Decatur. All right. So what this page is doing is designed to get them visibility for this specific city for their main services. You see Decatur flood damage restoration. I can see room for improvement from an SEO standpoint, where there should be more external and internal links. External meaning, for example, here, they would, link that to that city page for that. I'm sorry, the page for Decatur, Georgia. All right. Scrolling down, they have at least good amount of content as far as words. And the nice thing I see over here, which I rarely see, but this is probably why they're on page 1, is information about Decatur, Georgia, with some points of interest. All right. So that's a big plus. I would add a little bit more, and also to even beef it up a little bit more, I would suggest they add a Google Map embed for Decatur, Georgia. But for the most part, it looks not bad at all. Then to see the rest of their site, social media, they have Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I would recommend they add at least Instagram. Would be a big part, but since so many people, just for attention. But one thing to keep in mind when it comes to social media, this is more of a branding play. All right, when people think about what about social media in terms of a strategy? Again, think about the buyer's journey. They're going to do a search. If their water heater or toilet broke, they're going to go do a quick search. First they're going to go through their website, maybe look at their Google reviews. Then they'll maybe, if they have time, take a look at their social media. So, they do have a page, and it looks like they're pretty, consistent as far as the last one was about a week ago. So, they're in good shape there. They're documenting photos of, before, during, and after jobs. So their social looks good. So
JC, on the social thing too, everybody, if it behoove you. And one thing that I noticed just off the bat here is they don't have their Google business profile link there in their footer with their social icons. I definitely think that's something you should be doing. If you're managing your Google business profile properly, then you're posting updates and blogs to that Google business profile. And when JC talked about external links, internal links, an external link to your Google business profile is a really powerful one when we're talking about the pantheon of growing your domain authority. So that's one thing that I noticed that, isn't on this analysis that we would typically point out and want to add that to the website. But for the most part, everything looks good outside of those 2 little pointers here. But obviously they're doing something right, being on the first page in such a saturated market like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, and that was a perfect segue as far as Google Business Profiles. So, uh, let's take a look at what they have going on.
Hey, JC,
In this
is there
account.
anything else on the website that we would analyze? Like, I know we're looking at everything at a service level as far as structure. I know you typically will take it a little bit further with SEO Quake or another tool that you guys might be using right now. Is that relevant to what we're going to be talking about?
So when I do a video analysis for a prospect, I what I just walked you through is exactly what I
Yeah.
show in the video for a prospect. I don't go crazy technical, as far as meta tags. We touch on a few things, but I try to keep it as just
Let's
understandable
can you
as
do a
possible.
diagnosis real quick and let's get a little technical and just show kind of what we mean, because I think it'll be helpful for everybody out there if they understand what the H1 tag means from a very basic overview and what the meta description of meta tag is as it relates to the search engine. If you have that queued up there,
Yeah.
you can show them that, and then we can actually do a quick diagnosis on the page, because I know we don't like to get super technical because you can get lost in the weeds with some things, but some basic setup stuff for SEO. I think it would be valuable out there. And actually the chat is blowing up right now with people wanting to see that. I'm just kidding. Nobody's chatting with us at all. I'm just trying to make JC do something that I want him to do.
All right. So
JC's chatting on the chat side. Tell me to stop it.
yeah. So we'll talk about we'll talk about meta tags. So what are meta tags? So I'm back to the Google search we did for water damage restoration in Atlanta, and you have the Google guarantee, Google search text ads, Google business profile listings, the snack pack over there. And these are organic listings. All right. And these companies, the way they get here is through SEO or search engine optimization. Now, what you see over here, you have the name of the company, the URL. All right. This is their title tag that's highlighted in bold here in a bigger font. And below that, this is their meta description. Okay. And with meta tags, if this is not properly coded on the back end of their site, what happens is Google is just going to randomly extract information and just throw whatever they feel like it in this area if it's not filled out properly. So how does that look like in the back within the back
JC,
end of
to
their
jump
site?
in with the meta descriptions, everybody out there. So it's the way Google reads your website. They're basically a big library, and what they do is something called indexing. We just put a video out, and it's JC talking, showing you to even find out how if your website's being indexed. But that's all it is. It's the simplest way. That's the information that needs to be coded into your website. It's done on the back end through SEO tools, or if you're an old school HTML programmer, you can do it that way, which you shouldn't be doing that anyways. It's like churning your own butter at this point. But this is how Google's reading your website. So this is another thing that we look at when we're looking for ways to help people improve their SEO positioning or their organic search positioning through SEO. So you have a meta title, which is the title of the website, a description of the page that we want indexed, and the title of the page. And that's how Google knows how to categorize, specific services. And that's why when JC started this off, this person we're looking at right now has a separate page for each one of their services. And that's just to help really hone in on what it is they want to be ranked for on a search engine. So you've got your title, meta description, and your title tag. And then through there, you have your headings and telling Google what's the most important information on the website, which JC is going to show you right now.
Yeah. So over here, you'll see a plugin called SEO Quake. And what we'll do is take a look at their. So this is it breaks it down in real simple sections, as far as you have, again, what I showed you in the again, this is what shows up over here. All right. And you have the URL, canonical, title tag. All right. You can see over here, Atlanta water damage restoration. The title, again, one more time, is this section over here. And then their meta description is everything that's showing up here, even though it's a little bit different from what's showing up, but that's what the meta description is. There's no meta keywords. And then they have their H1 header. All right. This is a key factor, especially when it comes to SEO, as far as this is typically it's the main title of the page. And this is one of the main factors for on-page optimization, specifically for SEO, that Google looks at. All right. And then we can go, crazy as far as everything else here, but that's at least want to keep this as, high level
Yeah.
and simple as possible when it comes to meta tags.
I just wanted an overview. I appreciate that. I know that wasn't in your plan here, but I think it's valuable to understand, just to speak the lingo a little bit, because you can do a lot of things right, like everything right, and have one little thing like that wrong. And that's a huge reason you may not be ranking, or your competition may be beating you out. It might just be as simple as tweaking a meta description, making sure your site's in perfect health there. But that's SEO 101. That's what somebody should step in and do first when they come in to work with you anywhere else. So thank you for that. Now we'll jump back into the Google Business Profile.
Yes. So this is Reliable's Google Business Profile account. And let's start. Usually I look at the photos first. And what I look for specifically is actually two things: the number of photos, and also a good representation of the different types of services they provide. Specifically, you want to see, before, during, and after. But also, I look for pictures of the team, but real pictures.
Yeah.
I like the fact that actually, it's actually better to have, when I start seeing photos that look like it's stock, or it's just, doesn't look real, I don't mind seeing a little bit, a photo that's not perfect, because it's real. All right. So this is their team in action, some equipment you can see over here. So everything looks good as far as photos.
Is authentic. Authenticity is what Google's looking for, not just in your photos, but in your content on your website too.
Gotta keep it real. Keep
it real.
So the photos look good. If anything, we would probably add maybe some pictures of the team facing forward with their trucks. So when someone is looking at them, they want to see, okay, is this the company I actually called?
Yeah.
All right.
Branding.
Yeah. Next, reviews. So I know you've talked about this at length.
Can't talk about it enough.
Tons of videos, and I can't stress how important Google reviews are to getting or increasing your organic presence with both your Google Map rankings, your Google Guaranteed or LSA ad rank, but more importantly, it's for social proof. Look at Amazon. If some product that has 10,000 reviews, that's $50, but another that's the same product has 100 reviews, but it's cheaper, people are going to pay more money, more than likely, for that company that has more reviews. All right. So, but some of the key factors when it comes to reviews, even though they're doing amazing, and this is probably why they're ranked very high. Yeah. They have over 308, but they have great consistency. The last review they got was yesterday, then a week ago. And these guys are doing a great job as far as the consistency of their Google reviews. So,
the reviews are great. Just to piggyback off that too, guys, and you got to think about this big picture. JC touched on social proof. What you got to remember, you're in this industry, and you probably, I hope you know this, but you're building a lot of trust, right? From day one, people are trusting you. They're already going through something in most cases that's catastrophic. So they need to be able to trust that you're going to come in, you're not going to screw them over. So reviews are great. And from another perspective here, we've had people come on that are brokers that buy and sell restoration businesses. That's one of the things that makes your business more attractive, right? If you're going to go buy a restoration business one day, and you've got one that has 6,000 4.5-star reviews or 4 5-star reviews, which one are you going to choose to buy? So this becomes an asset, a branded, tangible asset. These reviews are, and it's social proof. It's all these other things. It helps with conversions, and it also helps with your visibility online, because people are going to read them. But JC touched on the recency Reliable Restoration here has been doing, which is great, is they're getting them consistently and recently. After a couple months, most people aren't looking back that far. Typically, people are going to look at overall, then they're going to look at their newest reviews, then they're going to look at your lowest reviews, and then they're going to read, and they're going to make a decision based off that. So one of the things that I think keeps people from getting reviews, and it's a pain, like in the restoration world, there's so many, in a lot of cases, there's so many different hands touching these projects. Sometimes you're subbing out the demo. Sometimes, the mold is going to be somebody else that comes in some cases. The resto is going to be somebody else. It's just figuring out what works best for you, and getting those reviews in is so important. It's one of the most important systems you should have built into your restoration business, is getting these Google reviews up like that. And don't sacrifice. Listen, you're not going to get 5-star reviews across the board. It's almost impossible. So don't sacrifice a bad review just, making that as an excuse not to ask for them, because you can bury a bad review if it's legitimate with a bunch of good reviews. So if you're doing the right thing, then you shouldn't be afraid of Google reviews. You should embrace them. And a bad review is a great opportunity for you to show off your customer service skills, right? So if somebody leaves you a bad review, maybe there was some BS that happened on the job. You're able to address it right there in front of other people that are going to be looking at it. And that's going to help make decisions too. Because I know for myself, I've made decisions where I was like, man, this guy's got some kind of shaky reviews here. But the way that guy answered, or lady, whoever it was, answered those reviews and addressed the problems right there in a very high level way, provided an outlet for that unhappy customer to make things right, made me want to make that decision to spend money with them. So the same principle applies to you. Get reviews, get them consistently. Every single person that works at your company should have some sort of idea of what this process looks like for you guys. Not to nail it in even further, because that's, I think, I just want to talk about.
Yeah, and we can't stress this enough. When Yaz, our account manager, has the review calls with the clients, that's one of the first things they discuss. When was the last Google review you have? Now, when I jump on a sales call with a prospect and we talk about their Google business profile, specifically Google reviews, I always ask them, what's the process and system they currently have in place to ask their customers to leave a Google review? And I would say 80% of the time they just wing it. It's like an afterthought.
Yeah.
Where they'll go like, oh, okay, we'll maybe email them later, or if they get to it, or there'll be gaps of like 6 months. So there's the absolute best time and way to get a Google review from a customer is first and it's probably going to be your text with the QR code or the Google review link. You can get it at the back end of your Google business profile, and have the customer right then and there in front of them, ask them nicely to leave a Google review. All right. If they don't do it then you can text later on. The other thing that also comes up quite a bit is a lot of times the texts, they don't want anything to do with marketing. They're going to, do remediation at a house, and they don't want to do that. So another important tip that could help you get more Google reviews is incentivizing your texts. All right. And maybe you could run a contest. But what you don't want to do is not incentivize a customer by saying, hey, I'll give you a $25 gift card if you leave a Google review. All right. That's a fast way to get suspended.
Yeah, you can't do that. And I'll say the best restoration companies out there, the big players out there, have a process. They understand that every single person that works for them is a salesperson, and they have some really creative ways of helping their techs kind of maybe, incentivize might not be the right word all the time, but just have them be more involved in that process. Because at the end of the day, if you're taking care of your employees and this is a part of the process, this moves the needle so much for you with your visibility and getting leads from the internet that you've got to have something built into it. And again, I'll play the devil's advocate because, JC, 5-6 years ago, Google Business Profile, or was Google My Business or Google Places or Google Plus back then, it was an afterthought. It was basically set it up. It's a great way to get a backlink. But there was no weight on ranking factors with it a whole lot. But in the last few years, that has flipped completely, where we as a digital marketing agency don't even do SEO for people without being able to manage their Google business profile, because they're tied so closely together. If you're doing just SEO, if you're with an agency you've been with for 5 years and all they're doing is SEO, and you're not doing any optimization on your Google business profile, you are severely hindering your visibility by watering down your digital marketing efforts. So they are one and the same. So I can't stress enough to don't treat it as an afterthought. I understand why you did, because everybody used to just set one up and have their uncle leave them a review and then they leave it alone and that was it. But it's changed so much in the last few years. And part of what's beneficial about having an agency running your marketing is a good agency will have their fingers on the pulse of what's happening, because Google updates its algorithm probably a lot more than I take showers, definitely a lot more than I take showers. I think there was 5,200 updates in 2022 was the year that I have in the no BS presentations. That's a lot to stay on top of. And not all of them are huge updates where it's going to, they're changing Google business or Google My Business to Google Business Profile, anything like that. A lot of them are very incremental, but it's all in an attempt to enhance the user experience on their platform and make sure that there's nobody out there that's bullshitting, pardon my French, and circumventing the processes of their terms of service to get ranked better. They're trying to weed that kind of stuff out, and that's what these algorithm updates are for. So if you're doing things right, you're following the rules, you don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. You need to be on top of it, to make the changes that are necessary. But I can't stress enough, Google Business Profile is very important. But I understand why you might not be using it. But if you're listening to this, you got to be optimizing it.
Yeah. And I got to give some kudos to Google, because now the legit reviews are starting to stick. Up until about, I would say 9 months to a year ago, I mean, every day there was either, one of our clients would be complaining that, they just asked their customer to leave a Google review. It's not sticking. I haven't heard, any rumblings about that in actually quite a while. So it looks like Google's has tweaked their AI as far as Google reviews, sticking. So everybody can move forward.
But their AI is trained properly now.
Yes,
Maybe.
those damn robots. But I'll break down that. So we talked about, obviously, Google reviews at length. Now, another key element that I like over here, and it's also another big mistake I see sometimes from prospect, is they don't set their primary priority service here. All right. Now, in the back end, you could add additional services, but you want to be forward facing with, if you're, and most of our clients, I would say over 90%, their priority service is water damage, right? Yeah. So we always make sure to, do the initial audit and do the proper setup. And Nikki will go in and make sure that this is, set to their priority service. So I can't stress how important that really is, especially when it comes to your Google Map rankings. All right. And then moving along, I showed you earlier their address. It does match what's on their website for their NAP. Again, that's name, address, phone number. And then you can see over here, these are their Google posts. So the last one they did was actually back in September. So not too consistent, but they have. So these Google post updates, they're a little bit different in terms of when people think about a social media post. It's different, meaning what you want to do as far as a best practice in this case is just really promote your services. All right. In this case, water damage. They have a link to their website and learn more, and same over here. So, and we typically do this at least 4 times a month for our clients, but they're, designed to get them visibility for their priority services and specific cities within their service areas. So, but so that's pretty much, what their Google Business Profile looks like, and the analysis. But again, I think these guys are actually legitimately doing a great job. And obviously, this is not a client of ours, but I'll give props to anybody where I see they're doing the right thing. We're not here to bash company. We're just going to be tell like it is. But
so that was so everybody out there, if you're just listening to this, you're just getting an over the shoulder look of how we do a video analysis, the things we're looking for as marketers, and what you need to be having in place if you want to compete and win when it comes to your online visibility, especially if you're spending money on SEO and Google Ads and Google Business Profile. And I know this was just a very big picture overview of this, but I think that it was a lot of value, JC. So thank you. But I'm more excited about this part because we're going to look at a loser, whoever is not on page. No, I'm just kidding. If JC picks you, and this wasn't preordained or anything like that, it's because there's a lot of room for improvement. And that's a positive thing. You may be a loser today, but if you do things right, and maybe you're watching this video or you listen to the podcast, we're going to give you some reasons and why you are ranked where you are on a search engine. We're sticking with the same keywords. Yeah, we're doing the same search, water damage restoration in Atlanta. JC, find the biggest loser.
All right, so we're going to go. So right now we're on page 1, and we're going to go all the way to page 10, and we're going to go all the way at the bottom.
So you're in the top 100. You're in the top 100, but you're not on page. Listen, by the way, if you've listened to any of my webinars, like one of the things I talk about is if you are not on page 1 of Google, you don't exist. And that's a really cool place and a really good place to hide a dead body because nobody ever looks there.
Yeah. So this is Champion Cleaning Systems. And for the most part, actually, again, I talked about first impressions. It does look good. And okay, let me, it says I'm using an older version of Firefox.
They may
Let me,
have I wouldn't click that link. They may have a bug on their site for malware. So let's pick somebody
yeah,
else.
let's look at this one
You
over here.
are listening to this. What was the name of that company?
That was Champion Cleaning Systems.
You have a malware bug on your website that's redirecting people to a spammy malware link. And again, I'll go back. We were giving you props on how nice your website looked, and it did. But I think the reason that you're not ranking, just at first impression of looking at your site, it might have to do with the malware you have on your website. And I'm going to do a shameless plug. If you do are a client of Ironclad Restoration Marketing, you host with our hosting partner, HXC Hosting, we have active malware scanning and get rid of that kind of stuff right away, because it happens all the time. People are hacking websites, throwing malware on there, getting you to click links for phishing for your information. And unfortunately, that company had it. JC was one click away from getting his computer completely corrupted and ruining his life. So we're going to go to the next worst, which is going to be the 99th position on, or is this the 109th position on Google? Anyways, you're not in the first page, so it doesn't matter.
You're here in the back of the line.
Yeah.
So this is Hurricane something. Let's actually, this is this specific landing page, but let's go to our homepage and see what's going on. So first impressions, looks not bad. They have their logo, their menu. They have a click to call, phone number. They have a clear description of their services. They have all the separate pages for each of their services here. They have a trust badge, ICRC, BBB. And actually looks, they have their Google reviews over here. And let's see if they go to, not sure if we can click on it, but these aren't clickable. They have the gallery. For the most part, yeah, actually they look good. They have their NAP, their name, address, phone number. They have city pages. So actually, they're from their homepage, that looks fine. But let's take a look and dig into their content, specifically their service pages. Let's look at the water damage restoration page. And first, let's look at their meta tags.
JC, I think we might have stumbled onto one of their city pages, and we're on an actual we're on a site that might be ranking higher based off the first look. You want to try somebody else? I mean, because that landing page was horrendous, and now this site's actually looking pretty good.
Yeah, but actually, let's do this. Let's go to. I'll go back to that specific landing page that they were ranked for.
Yeah,
that was all the way at the end. So that's a good idea. So, so the one thing that that I did notice by you bringing that to my attention is, their homepage looks a lot different from this specific landing page. Yeah. It's almost like a different company, right? It's like the formatting, as far as like look at all this dead space on the sides. The content is all it's just it's just a bunch of text.
I'm going to shoot you a good link too. So we'll back up to while we're looking at this, because listen, we didn't preordain any of this stuff. JC, I'm going to throw a URL of, this is the page that was ranking just above. Oh, wrong one. Here's a page that, a website that was ranking just above the very last position on here. Here we go. Here's a great one. And so what you're talking about when you're showing them the website, a few of the things that should stand out to you right away. JC said, first bite, the first look at the site, all you see is one picture, it's stock photo, and then a bunch of text that you can't click on. You can't learn more. That's a big no-no. Google's never going to rank that. So that's pretty indicative. But let's go to one. JC, I just threw it up in the chat. If you want to check it out, we can check that one out and do like a real analysis, because this site, isn't horrible, but it is ranking on the very last page of Google.
Actually, can you, so I don't lose the spot over here, could just email it to me really quick?
Sure.
Is that easier? Yeah.
And anything's easy for me in this digital age, JC. So keep going through there, guys. Sorry, we had a technical, but I want to make sure that we give you the right, the right option, or the right kind of information here, and why you're not ranking. Because listen, there's only 10 positions on page one, so it's a very competitive area. JC, that's out. It's a very competitive thing to do. SEO is super competitive, and it's changing all the time. But man, if your site looks like the one JC's showing you right now, give us a call. we have our own custom templates that we've developed over the years that are built to convert websites. We can get this cleaned up relatively quickly. And at least that end, if you don't have the budget to, for digital marketing, at least that end will be tight and working well. But this looks like a case of somebody trying to use old school tactics and using a ton of different URLs just to see if they can throw enough shit at a wall and have something stick, because their initial site for maybe their parent company looks okay. So we can't tear it apart too much. But I just shot you over a website that looks like a well enough nice guy. It's got a lot of the same elements we're talking about. But let's see if we can.
This one?
Watermoldfire.net.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah. So this guy's in the very last position on page 10 of Google. Now, keep in mind, this isn't indicative of the company in itself, right? This is just for a specific keyword, which we talked about, water damage restoration being one of the most competitive and one of the most sought after keywords. This is where this gentleman and his company is ranking here. And let's let JC identify why he may be ranking so far down the search engine for this.
Sure. So, just before I get into the technical part, as far as from an SEO standpoint, for the most part, again, first impressions, it looks okay as far as their logo, clear description of their services, the menu. They have looks like separate pages for each of their services, and the insurance companies they work with. That looks fine. But let's look at their meta tags. Again, I'm using SEO Quake plugin, and let's look at the diagnosis. So you have water, mold, fire, restoration, no damage in the title. My suggestion is to have the name of the company in here for brand name purposes. And they have their meta description, which is okay, but definitely room for improvement with some of the keywords. And again, the H1 header, as far as the title, they need a little bit more information as far as not just water damage restoration, as far as in the title tag. All right, and then before I get into so that's the home page. Let's look at one of their service pages. This one for water damage, and and you can see it's almost like where. Let me go back to from this page.
Yeah, it's like a totally different website.
To this page, it's like, who is this? Is this a cartoon? It's yeah. So Ben, you're the design expert. What are your thoughts on?
These are a few. So this is just all over the place, right? So if I was a psychopath and I wanted to click to the 10th page of Google, and if I really wanted to go through 100 restoration companies, and again, the caveat to this is a lot of times on these deep down pages, these are people trying to rank specific city pages. But I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement in the design. I think maybe he had two separate people working on this website at some point. I'm trying to pull it back up here on my side so I can kind of look through it myself, because I didn't even notice that at first. But yeah, you got to be consistent, right? People, when you're talking about, let's just go back to marketing 101. We're talking about branding, right? People need to know what to expect. Every single Starbucks you look at looks the same. Every time you drive by the golden arches of McDonald's, you know what to expect. If this water mold restoration company was a bigger company and I was just going to their website and I didn't know them, I would think that I'm bouncing around to different companies. Okay. So if you're running this company, you end up listening to this, take heed, because in a lot of cases, your site's pretty decent, and it's a little old school, a little dated, maybe needs some updating here. But having things that are inconsistent when it comes to your brand is a no-no.
And what this looks like, Ben, now that I'm digging deeper into it, I'm at the locations landing page. It looks like, I don't know if it's a lead capture page, because now they're listing all these different companies. Well, no, wait, WMF. No, this is no, I'm sorry. This is all of their locations, but I would do it a little bit different as far as. Let's look at this.
Well, listen, there's a reason they're on page 10 of Google. There's probably so we looked at we identified a few things on this, and we can't get as deep because there's a lot of issues here. And again, we're going through this completely blind, just doing a Google search like a normal user would do. But even if we went to page 2 and figured out, let's pick somebody that's on page 2, the bottom of page 2, It looks like there's a lot of these franchises out here, but it looks like a lot of people just trying to rank these landing pages that just don't have the right content on them. Really, is what it looks like here. So, there's a lot of elements out there, but the person that the Reliable Restoration, you're doing it right. I'm looking through a bunch of pages here. Page 2, from a design standpoint, a lot of them are okay, but they're missing the nuts and bolts and the basic SEO that you would need here. We could check the Hurricane LLC and just go through that page some more. But I would imagine if we did a diagnosis with SEO Quake on any one of these websites, there's going to be some room for improvement in the metadata, meta descriptions, the header tags. There's a good chance they're not blogging regularly. There's a good chance they don't have separate pages for each one of their services. And you got to keep that in mind. If you have like your main URL, let's just call you waterrestorationcompany.com. And then you're like, well, I'm going to take it a step further and I want to rank in Atlanta, or I want to rank in Dallas, or wherever you may be. And you build a landing page. That landing page has to mirror your homepage, but just have different keyword indicators that are service X city, if that makes sense, right? So you're a water damage restoration contractor. You serve Atlanta, Georgia. When they go to that Atlanta, Georgia landing page, that landing page needs to look just like your homepage with your services, but indication that you're in Atlanta. Because in most cases, people aren't just working in one little town or location, unless you're in like some town in Alaska and you're the only company out there, like South Florida where we're located. I mean, JC, around you in a 30-mile radius, how many different little cities and towns are around where you live down there? Probably like 15 or 20.
Within Broward, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and then Broward County is huge. Palm Beach County, where I'm at, is the same thing. I mean, I can throw a rock in any direction from my office over here and hit a different city. So you have to be aware of that when you're building your website. So you should have the basic elements in place that we showed you over the shoulder in that screen share. Name, address, phone number needs to be consistent. You have to have a professional looking logo. Your site needs to be mobile responsive. You have to have clickable phone numbers, easy way to get in touch with you. Everything that's important about your company to make somebody click on you and use you as a service should be the first thing they see without having to scroll. And if you're going to take it a step further and you want to start ranking on a search engine, you got to have these separate pages for each one of your services, have city indicator pages, which are basically landing pages that talk about your services in a specific township or city or community that are around you. I mean, there's hundreds of them just in Palm Beach County, Florida, where I live. So I can only imagine like places like New Jersey. I mean, every 50 feet's a different township, right? And Florida in general is just like that as well. So you got to keep that in mind. And again, if you're not on page 1, JC, I think, showed you some things that you need to be looking for on your website that might shine some light on why. And if you are on page 1, JC screen share of that gentleman or gentle lady that's doing well on number 1 results in the organic section in Atlanta. Shine some light on to say you are doing the right thing. Your marketing company's got an A+, thumbs up, and everything like that. And I know in plans on future episodes, I'd love to, now that you've broke the ice, JC, and you've come on, you're going to be here, regular guest. So anybody out there listening, if there's something specific you're struggling with, shoot it over to us an email. Visit our website. It's right there at the bottom of the screen, ironcladrestorationmarketing.com. Fill out a contact form. Hit us up on social media. I know you might see me in Facebook on the Restoration Rebels group or Water Damage Restoration Connection or LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook. DM me. We know Gladys runs all that. She's behind the scenes. She's like the Wizard of Oz, but I do get those messages. If there's something specific you're struggling with that JC or I can look at, even if you want us to do one of these video analyses of your site, if you've got the cojones to do so, let us do it. We'll do it live. We'll show you exactly what's going on your website to either reaffirm that you're doing the right thing or tell you, like, here's some things you need to improve on. So with that being said, JC, what is one thing right now actionable that somebody can do that we haven't talked about to improve their online visibility? Restoration contractor, not OnlyFans models.
You know what? It's it's taking action. I talk to so many companies out there, and they overthink it too much to the point where it's like Bitcoin. We were talking about that earlier today. Like all of a sudden it's over 90,000 ever since Trump got elected, which shot up, and all these people are just waiting and waiting and waiting. Meanwhile, it's too late. You got to take, it's better to take some action than just sitting on the sidelines waiting for something to happen. Next thing you know, oh, so and so is making a ton of money because I could have done that, but you didn't. You make a decision. If it doesn't work, then just keep optimizing, adjusting, and fix it. So
that's the thing too.
That's it, man.
If we've done a video analysis for you, and it's hard. I put myself in somebody's shoes because, listen, I have a construction company. I have people calling me, selling me stuff all the time. I don't trust anybody. So I don't blame you for not trusting us. But hopefully this episode here shows you exactly what we're looking at. I mean, it's black and white. If you aren't on the first 4 or 5 positions on page 1 of Google in the organic, you're not ranking in the first 3 on your map section, you're not running LSA, you're not getting leads online, there's a reason for that. So if we've done a video analysis for you in the past, and you're just kind of rubbing your fingers together and kind of thinking it's going to change, it's not. If JC is giving you an analysis, or if I have, or any one of our other team members, we told you things to improve on, just like JC said, you have to take action. You don't have to utilize our services as a marketing agency. That's not why we do it. We do it to show you what you need to be doing in a no holds barred basis. So have somebody make the improvement, right? If JC gives you a really bad grade, if you're the guy that was listening to this and you're one of those websites that might have malware on it, and you just think it's just going to turn itself around on its own and you can keep your head in the sand, it's not the way it works. In fact, you're going to be so far behind by the time you actually take action, it might be too late. And the thing that I noticed being a host of this little podcast and talking to people in the restoration world that are doing it and doing it well, that's one of the biggest differences I see between them and then people we talk to out on the streets or at conventions. They just don't take action, right? The old ways don't work anymore. There's still a lot of room for the old ways, but anybody that's been a listener of this podcast for a certain amount of time know that we preach the omni-channel approach, being omnipresent, being visible everywhere. And if you want to be visible on a search engine, well, you should want that. But if you don't, maybe you're not listening to the right podcast, but to be visible on a search engine boils down to very black and white term. Now, there's a lot of things outside of your control, outside of your agency's control, but if you can at least get the basics in order, you're so much further ahead than everybody else. In fact, 69% of businesses don't optimize for local search. So if that's not something that'll tell you how many people just don't take action, I don't know what to tell you. Do 1 or 2 things. If you don't have a budget to hire an agency on, listen to my 400 YouTube videos out there. Call us, email us, sign up for our newsletter. All we do every single day when it comes to content is provide value because we want people to succeed. And we just so happen to provide a service that'll help you get there. But we hate inaction. So again, before we wrap this up, JC, want to thank you for coming on. I'm already planning in my head the next episode because we could spend hours on here. Maybe we'll puff a cigar, play a little guitar if anybody wants to hear that. But if you are struggling with something specific, let us know. There's a million different ways to get in touch with us. Also, specifically talking about tips, I've recently partnered with R&R Magazine. We're rolling out a bi-monthly Ironclad Marketing Minute. I know we did it in the past. We're rehabbing it. We're refixing it up. We're going to make it even better. So tune into R&R Mag. Online.com, I believe is the URL. Pretty soon, we're going to start launching out the series. I am speaking at the Experience event in Punta Gorda, Florida, the beautiful Punta Gorda. So if you're going to be out there, make sure you drop me a line. Tell me what's up. I believe, and I'm 99% sure, we're going to be at the RIA convention. It's right in our backyard here in West Palm Beach, Florida. So if we don't see you there, come stop by our booth at the RIA convention. We'd love to chat with you and bring your problems to us. Lay them at your feet. We will solve them for you, right, JC? If you got a problem, he'll solve them. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. JC, thank you for your time. I know you probably got to get back out there. All right, everybody, listen, make sure you like, subscribe, and share our show. We want to help you. So again, if there's something you're struggling with, hit me up. Let me know. It gets redundant out here talking by myself, trying to guess what you're struggling with. So I'd love to hear specific areas that you're having a hard time in. And again, the video analysis that JC just did, we provide absolutely 100% free of charge for any of you out there. So if you want a no holds barred, real time look at where you're at online, what you can do to improve, or you want a thumbs up from us to say, hey, you're doing a great job, shoot us a message on ironcladrestorationmarketing.com. Hit us up, DM us on LinkedIn, DM us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever's easier for you. Our phone number's on the website. Give us a call. We'd be happy to provide that for you absolutely free of charge. And definitely tell you about how you can improve your online visibility. That is it for today. We had a really long episode. We're looking forward to the next one. Until next time, keep optimizing, and we'll talk to you then.